What's up, guys? This is John, and today I want to show you a huge update that we're making to our dictionary. So this update is actually something that we've been planning from the very beginning. It's called the System-Level Data, or System Info. If you go onto our website and check out the demo of our dictionary, you'll see that in some entries there's a tab that says System that you can click on, and then it shows you the system level entry. We haven't been able to include that in the dictionary up until now, but it's finally almost ready to release. It should be out within just a couple of days of this video going live. So if you have the dictionary, you'll get it automatically. If you don't have the dictionary, I'll put a link in the description of this video where you can go check out the dictionary. You can try the demo online, and you can buy the dictionary from our website if you'd like. So I'm just going to dive in and show you what the system level data is about. Okay, so if you're familiar with our dictionary, you know that you can go into Pleco and look up any character, and you'll be able to find our dictionary's explanation. And the form explanation tells you why the character looks the way it does. And then if there are components, then there will be a component section where we explain each component's function. Then the meaning section shows how the character's original meaning is related to its other meanings and the modern meanings. And then there's also stroke order for most characters. And you can see here at the bottom, there's the system level info. So that's the new stuff. I want to show you that real quick. Okay, so here's the system level info. And basically what it is we have every character that this component shows up in as a functional component will show up in the system level data. So you can see sound series. Any character that sheng shows up in as a sound component will show up right here in that series. And it gives you a really good idea of the range of different sounds that a sound component can represent. As you can see here, we have xing, xing, and sheng. So if you ever see a sound component and go, that doesn't seem quite right, a lot of times you'll be able to open it and see that there's quite a few other characters that have a similar pronunciation that contain that same sound component. And if you scroll down a little bit, you get the semantic series. This is any character that sheng shows up in as a semantic component that is related to its meaning. And here you have chan and xing. And as you can see, that xing character shows up in both the sound series and in the semantic series. So it's both a sound and a semantic component in that character, xing. Now, as you can see, we have different things highlighted in red in different sections. So in the sound series, we have the pronunciation highlighted in red because that's what's important in the sound series is pronunciation. In the semantic series, we have the original meaning highlighted in red. Now, the original meaning and not the other meanings, because the original meaning is the only meaning that the character was actually created to represent. So the original meaning is the reason that that component is in the character in the first place. So that's the only one that semantic component is going to actually be directly related to. So that's the one that we've got highlighted here, is the original meaning. Then the next series is as an empty component. If it shows up in characters as an empty component, that means it's not related to the sound or the meaning. Then it would show up here, but this particular component doesn't show up as an empty component. And then as a radical. So any character that sheng shows up in as a radical will show up in this list. Now, this should be interesting, especially to people who think that radicals and semantic components are the same thing. Clearly they're not, because you can see that the one character, Chan, is in both the semantic series and the radical list. The other character in each list is different. So here, xing, in xing, sheng is not the radical, but it is the semantic component. Here at the bottom, sheng, meaning sister's child, sheng is the radical, but it's not a semantic component. It's a sound component in that character. As you can see up here, it shows up right up here in this sound series list. So this should really drive home the idea that radicals and semantic components are different things. There's a lot of overlap, yes, but they're not always the same thing. Okay, now let me show you some more interesting stuff about this system data, and this is where I think it really gets useful. So let's look up one of those characters that contains sheng as a component. Sorry for my handwriting there. All right, so 形, like I said earlier, the form explanation explains why it looks the way it does. Scroll down a little bit, you get the component breakdown. Now, if you already have the dictionary and you're familiar with it, you'll notice there's something new there, that S, and that's the system data. So for any component in any character, you should get that S where you can tap it and it comes up with the system data. The only time that that won't show up is if that component only shows up in one single character, in which case it'll be explained right there anyway. But if it shows up in more than one character as a component, it'll have a system level entry right there. And you can just tap on that S and it comes right up. And you can see we have the same information there for this xin. And again, for sheng, that same entry comes up. And of course, if xing were a component in other characters, that's xing, this main character here, if that were a component in other characters, you'd also get the system level data down here at the bottom. So for example, we can look up ge. Again, sorry for the handwriting, I'm kind of holding the phone weird here. But, okay, so you can see in ge, we have the system level data for both components. But then at the bottom, you also have system level info for ge itself. So it's all right there in the entry. You don't have to click around to find stuff. It's all right there. You know, you can access any of the related system level data for that character in a single tap. Now, here's one more thing that I think is really useful if you have questions about things like why is this sound component here when it seems like a weird choice for a sound component. So let's look up lu, which contains that ge component, but it's a sound component, which a lot of people would think is weird because lu and ge don't seem to be related whatsoever. But actually, if you tap on the system level data, what you can see is that there are a lot of characters containing that ge component as a sound component that are pronounced starting with an L. The reason for that, it has to do with Old Chinese pronunciation and how it changed over time. So basically in Old Chinese, ge started with like a KL sound. It was pronounced like klak. Some characters containing that component lost the K and some of them lost the L. And so that's why you have some characters with an L and some with like a G or a K. All right, guys, so that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about. It's a super useful add-on. We have system level entries for something like 1,200 different components. It'll vary a little bit depending on if you're looking at the simplified or the traditional version of the dictionary, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 1,300 different components that have that system level data. So it's a massive upgrade to the dictionary. I think it adds a lot of value, and so that's why I wanted to walk you through it today and show you, the different types of things that you can use it for. So all right, guys, that's it for now. And, post in the comments if you have any questions. And like I said, the link is in the description that you can go check out the demo of the dictionary, or you could buy it if you don't have it already. And as always, get in touch with us if you have any questions.